Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have a new set of great stories for you to enjoy. Subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Sit comfortably. Here we go with our warm-up story. Dealership tried to screw over my mom, and my dad wasn't going to let that happen. This is one of my favorite stories about my dad from when he and my mom were younger. When my mom was younger, she didn't have a lot of money, so my dad helped her pay for the down payment on her first car. I can't remember what the brand was, besides that it was an Asian make. She drove it around for a few days, and suddenly the paint started to chip. When she took it back to them to say, hey, this car's not even a week old and the paint's chipping, they basically told her to take her new car and F off. Now, my mom's not one to be trifled with, but she couldn't get anywhere with the dealership. So my dad had this great plan. He bought a poster board and wrote, I bought this car a week ago. The paint's already chipping and dealer name doesn't care. He parked right outside their property so that they couldn't tell him to leave, but close enough that every customer going into the lot saw the car and sign. I'm guessing they felt the sting pretty quickly because they went out to my dad and replaced the car within a few hours. Having a reputation for cars that have issues after a few days can't be good for business. And our second story. Try to lie and scam my job? I'll give you a nice scare and then ban you for life. Little backstory. I'm a pizza delivery driver, and most of our business comes from a large college campus nearby, meaning lots of drunk/stoned/annoying/stupid college kids ordering. We deal with a lot of bullcrap from them, and we rarely get tipped there. So this is what happened. I'm doing my normal deliveries to campus, which involve calling each customer to come outside the dorm to meet me. The doors are locked and only students have access. The next day, I get a text from my boss asking if I remember delivering to a particular college student, and she gave me his name and a phone number to look up on my call log to see if I delivered to them. Sure enough, I'd called that number the previous night, and I actually remember that specific customer because his name was on the delivery. Let's call him Chad. My boss told me that Chad called the shop and complained that he never received his order the previous night, so she looked up the order details and saw that I had taken it. There's a record of every order showing which driver took the order, customer information, etc. This infuriated me because I know for a fact that I had delivered to Chad. I even remember what he looked like and what he was wearing. He filed a corporate complaint saying that he never received his order and he wanted a refund. His argument was that I gave his food to a random person and they signed his credit card receipt stealing his food. This doesn't add up, because if I'd given it to the wrong person, wouldn't he have called me back asking where I was? If I had food delivered and the driver said they were outside and weren't there, I would have called back immediately wondering where my food was. Chad waited until the next day to call and complain. Well, hell no. There was no way this idiot was getting his money back for the food he already ate. I called his phone number and said, Hi, this is your Domino's driver, the one who delivered to you last night. I'm not sure why you're trying to say you never got your food when I clearly remember handing it to you. Therefore, you won't be getting a refund. He hung up. A couple weeks go by, and I guess Chad got over it because a college campus order came through with his name on it. This was my chance to confront him face to face. I got to campus and tried calling him, but it wouldn't go through. He blocked my number. I asked someone if I could borrow their phone. When he answers, I say, Hi, this is your Domino's driver. Remember me? I'm going to need you to come down with your credit card and ID so I can make sure I'm giving this order to the right person. He hangs up without saying anything. A minute goes by, and a girl comes down saying she's picking up the order for him. I say, Sorry, but I'm going to need him to come down since last time he tried to say I gave his food to the wrong person. He comes out, and it's clearly the same dude from before, and he obviously recognizes me. He snatches the food out of my hands and runs away without signing the credit card receipt. Now, technically, if you don't sign the receipt, we can't process the payment, so you're stealing the food. Confirmed by my manager. So I call up campus police, and they say if he doesn't sign the receipt, he'll get arrested for larceny. The cops show up, go up to his dorm, and bring him downstairs. The look on his face was priceless. He signed the receipt, no tip, of course. After all this, you would think he wouldn't order pizza from us ever again. But nope, he kept trying to order from us, and we would have to cancel him immediately. So now he's blacklisted from our shop. Ha! Don't mess with this delivery girl. Why would you mess with anyone who handles your food? It's just a bad idea all the way around. And our next story. Don't fire the guy who holds the patents. This is my father's story. So some context. My father had a degree in mechanical engineering, either a master's or doctorate. It had taken him years to get, and he was very proud of that. Thanks to his training, he'd found his way working for many well-known companies, working primarily with the procedures used to make various things. Over time, he'd privately began working on an idea that would revolutionize how school and gym lockers worked. See, my father realized that there was a problem with those type of metal lockers. Namely, it was very easy for a person to break into them. What's more, as the lockers were designed, there were multiple exposed moving parts, which meant that if a student put too many books in one, or really got anything against the door, the locker could be jammed shut, making it near impossible to open. So for several years, Dad toyed with a number of ideas before hitting on a new design which would solve all those problems. The inner workings of the locker's locking mechanism would be contained within the door in such a way that 1, it was impossible for someone to shim or break into, 2, the entire mechanism would be enclosed, and 3, it was relatively maintenance-free. Now at this point, my father was the vice president of manufacturing, and apparently there wasn't a clause in his contract that said if he designed anything while working for the company, then he had to turn it over to them for profit. Dad still approached the company, offering them the design, but they weren't interested. Dad sat on the design for a while before eventually just taking out several patents on them, then forgetting about them. About 6 months after his first attempt at getting the company interested, the parent company's owner/chairman of the board passed away, and the board opted to sell off some of the holdings. The company my dad worked for was part of that. The new owners were young guys who seemed to think they knew everything, as young business owners always seem to think, and they set about changing 99% of the way things were being done. At some point, they stumbled across the plans my father had designed. Now that's where things turned curious. They really wanted to start producing the new design, but as they didn't have all the plans and processes laid out for them, they had to turn to my father for answers. Rather than asking him how to do it or licensing the patents, as any reputable company would have done, they ordered him to turn over all his work, or else they would fire him. Dad stood his ground and refused. The new owners and my father went back and forth arguing over details for several weeks before finally the new owners fired my father for insubordination. So on to the revenge. After cleaning out his office and packing things in the trunk of his car, my father headed home and made a few phone calls. He must have gone through 8 or 9 different calls before he got in touch with someone who was interested in what he had to say. See, my dad was under no illusions that the company that had fired him wasn't going to just make those patented lockers on their own. He also knew that, though the company itself was relatively small, the owners had money and there was no way he could fight them. However, a larger company could. So he contacted the major competitors and made them an offer. He eventually set up a meeting with some people, wheeled out the prototype he'd made, explained how everything worked, and noted that with this system, the company could revolutionize the way lockers were both designed and improve both safety and security. What's more, as he was the only patent holder, for the next 7 years or so, that company could be the only company to produce them. The competitor jumped at the chance and bought all the patents both for the design and the process. They even paid my dad a substantial consultancy fee to go out to their manufacturing site and teach their crews how to make the needed tool and die sets to produce them. Less than 6 months after the first company had fired him, their number one competitor was completely destroying them in the market with this new design. And there wasn't a damn thing the first company could do about it. They did try suing my father, claiming he'd stolen their intellectual property, but that case quickly evaporated when they had to admit under oath that they'd never actually signed a contract with him, and there was no requirement that he turn over anything he created to the company. In the 7 years from when the second company bought the locker design and the process patents, they pretty handily moved into markets that previously they'd been unable to. The first company soldiered on, but by the time the patent had finally expired, they were a shadow of their former selves. The new owners had sold the company at a loss, with the competitor buying it only to shut that production facility down due to redundancy. Put maybe 200 people out of work, though given how they'd lost so much business, I wager that it was far less than that. So yeah, the new guys don't want to play ball, threaten the guy that holds the patents on something they want to do, then fire him, only to have him take everything to their competitor and effectively put them out of business. And our last story. I paid a small deposit and off the package went. One day, I decided to have some revenge when I received one of these calls. The scammer was giving his spiel about how a long-lost relative of mine had died, and I was the one to inherit the millions that was left solely to me. Playing along, I acted very excited and asked what needed to be done on my end. He said his legal firm needed a payment of £5,000 in order for the relevant paperwork to be processed. This is where I had a bright idea. I said to him that I did not have £5,000 in cash on hand, but I do, however, have a load of new electronics come in for my business that I could send to be sold. He jumped at the opportunity. So I went into my shed, started wrapping up a broken washing machine I had. I also filled the drum with multiple yellow pages to give it even more weight. When I organized a special courier to come pick up the massive parcel, I said that the delivery fee would be paid in full at the other end, with the delivery fee totaling over £500. I paid a small deposit and off the package went. A few weeks later, I got confirmation that the parcel had been picked up and the full invoice paid on collection. I wish I could have seen the scammer's face when he opened it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.